Good morning and welcome to the Crafty Canary for your tip on Tuesday. Today I'm going to show you a couple of ways to spice up. That's not really the best word because we're not using spices. Maybe zhuzh up, that's kind of a strange word, but just make a little bit more festive your brownies. Now I'm just using a regular brownie mix. You could make homemade brownies from scratch if you want to, but just to make this easy, I've used a brownie in a box mix. They're in the oven right now, but what we're gonna do with this one, I read about on the internet, and it's actually a test for me. I've never done this before, so I'm hoping it turns out really well. But I read you could use Andes mints as an icing for your brownies. How yummy is that gonna be? I love chocolate and mint. It's one of my favorite candies, favorite flavors. So Andes and York peppermint patties are my favorite candies. So that's what you're gonna see me using today for these special treats. So this first one, we're gonna make the icing out of the Andes mints. And we're going to use a double boiler, but I don't have a double boiler, and y'all know me, I don't like to go out and buy something that I can kind of make up on my own. So what I'm doing is I'm using kind of a medium-sized saucepan, and I'm using a bowl that fits really perfectly in it. So I've put a little bit of water in there, and I'm gonna put this bowl, and try not to burn my fingers because it's already been boiling a little bit, or simmering a little bit. Put that bowl right in there, and I'm gonna put the Andes mints in there, let them melt and stir them around, and pour that on for my icing. So I'll be back in just a minute to get that started. So our water has started to boil, so what we're gonna do is take these out, and unfortunately we're going to have to unwrap each and every one individually. So that's gonna take a little bit of time. And I don't think you can buy these in a package where they come unwrapped. So I'm gonna have to do that. I'll unwrap them individually, put them in my little bowl, and kind of stir them slowly to let them melt slowly. And we're doing this in a double boiler because we don't want to burn the chocolate. If you just put chocolate in a pan and start heating it, that direct heat on the bottom can scald your chocolate, and that is not good tasting chocolate. So we want to do it with a double boiler and slowly. So let me get these unwrapped and get them in the bowl. So I don't know how well you can see that, but they're beginning to melt very quickly. It probably would have been wise to unwrap those all at one time before I started the heat on the double boiler so that I could put them in all together, because I unwrapped, put in, unwrapped and put in. So the first ones melted, faster than the last ones. It might have been good to do it all at the same time. So they're almost completely melted. I'm stirring, and there's only just a few kind of clumpy ones in there, and it's really only been about 2.5, 3 minutes since I put the first one in. So that really did not take long. It's not gonna be a huge amount of icing. I should have bought a couple of boxes of those, or 2 or 3, just so I could have more icing. I did do the brownies in a smaller pan, an 8x8 pan instead of a 9x13, because I knew it wasn't going to be a whole lot, and I wanted to get as much out of it as I could. So my brownies are going to be ready in just 2 minutes and 48 seconds. So I'm going to take this off the heat because it's done melting. It shouldn't harden up in 2.5 minutes. So I'm going to take that off the heat and be right back with you when the brownies are done. Okay, my brownies are done and they are nice and hot. See, I made them in the 8x8 pan. So now I'm going to pour my icing, Andes mint icing, over them. Now here is the tricky part with my makeshift little double boiler. So be really careful. It fits very nicely in that pan, which it needs to, but that means it's also very hard to get out. And because it's hot, I don't want to burn myself. So here's the challenge. I'm going to have to take my super duper mitts, try to get it out. I'm probably going to get chocolate on the mitts, but that's okay. I'm going to pour it over. Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy. Yeah, I really think I should have bought 2 boxes of the mints, but we know for next time, for the first time. So you don't have to make that mistake. I made it for you. So I'm going to pour it over. Oh, that looks really good, and it smells delicious. Like I said, this mint chocolate and dark chocolate combination is my favorite. So I'm spreading it over, and what we'll do is we'll let that cool, and then we'll show you how it looks and how it tastes at the end. But for right now, if I can do it without burning my tongue, I'm gonna lick this. A little hot, but good. Oh, yummy, yummy. See you in a minute. I'm back and I've let them cool for a couple of hours. They're not completely cool, a little bit warm on the bottom, but the icing is still a little bit soft. So I don't know if it will harden if it completely cools, but it's still kind of a nice soft icing. So let's cut a little piece. Let's see, I'm gonna try not to get too big of a piece. Ooh, that looks good. It's a nice corner piece with some icing. So let's try it. It's really good. Just a hint of the minty taste. I still think we probably should have done 2 packages of the Andes mints. It's a nice, if you like a light layer of icing, this is really good. If you want it a little bit thicker and to taste the mint more, I would say go with 2 or more boxes or packages of the Andes mints. So that's really good. It was a good idea. So let me give you one more idea for how to spice up, zhuzh up your brownies. Okay, for another idea for adding some extra interest to your brownies, let's add some more candy while we bake. Now, I've told you my favorite candy is York peppermint patties. So along the same line of chocolate and mint, let's add some of these to our brownies. I learned this trick long ago when I first got married about 25 years ago and used to do it a lot, but I haven't done it in a long time. So this will be really fun to do something I haven't done in a while. And I looked up online adding peppermint patties to your brownies. And what a lot of people do in the recipes online is you put a layer of your batter in, put the peppermint patties in, and then top it with a layer of batter. But that's not quite how I learned to do it. So let me show you what I learned. First, I've mixed up my brownie. Again, I used a box mix just to make it easy. You can use whatever you want. And I'm gonna pour that into my this time I'm using a 9 by 13. So I'm gonna put that batter in. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put it in the oven and bake it only for about 15 minutes. The box says to bake this size pan, I believe it says about like 25 to 30 minutes. I can't remember exactly, but I'm gonna do it kind of halfway to kind of let the brownies set up a little bit before I put the peppermint patties on. So I'm gonna get this in the pan, put them in the oven, and while I do that, while they bake that 15 minutes, I'm gonna unwrap all of these peppermint patties at one time so I'm not waiting while I unwrap like I did with the Andes mints. Speaking of the Andes mints, the icing actually did harden once they cooled a little bit more. It hardened really nicely, and you could even taste a little bit more of the mint when they did. So that was really a great idea, and this is another good one. Let me put this in the oven, and then I'll show you what I do next. Okay, so they have baked for 15 minutes, for about half of their baking time, and I have unwrapped all of the peppermint patties. I think you can buy these unwrapped. I just didn't see any when I went to the store, so I think you can buy a bag of these that you don't have to unwrap, and that would be a little more convenient. But now that they're set up just a little bit, I'm gonna put 2 rows of the peppermint patties on the brownies. And sorry if this is difficult to see because I'm doing such a dark brown on dark brown, but I'm just gonna do a row here. And the reason I baked them a little bit first is because I didn't want them to sink into the brownies. I do want them on top for what I'm going to do with them here at the end that I'll show you in just a few minutes. Sorry, I'm talking to you with my head not facing you, but you know, talking and teaching and working at the same time, it's what I do. So I didn't quite use them all, but that's good because then I have a few to eat on my own. So I'm gonna put them back in the oven for another 15 minutes or until they're done, and then I'll bring them back out and show you what I'm gonna do. Okay, so our brownies are done and out of the oven, and you see the peppermint patties have kind of exploded a little bit as they melted, but what I'm gonna do is take a butter knife and just go in there and kind of dig around and make a nice little, I don't know what you might call it, minty divot in them. Okay, So I know that it looks kind of weird and ugly, but that mint has kind of gone down in there, but it's not a whole peppermint patty stuck in the middle. I just think that would be kind of weird to bite into a whole peppermint patty in the middle of a brownie, but that might be good too. So these are my ideas for, you know, zhuzhing up your brownies. I know that's not even really a word. I don't even know how to spell that, but you could also use peanut butter cups and do the same thing and just stick them in and let them cool with the brownies, or you could kind of dig around in there and rub them around like I did with the peppermint patties. Another thing you could do is sprinkle M&Ms over the top before you bake your brownies. That's a great way to have some candy in your brownies and just have something a little bit more interesting than just plain old box brownies. So I hope this has been helpful. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video if it was helpful for you. Give me some ideas down in the comments if you have some other ideas of ways to make your brownies a little bit more interesting. So come back next time and we'll see you next time. Bye.